Ooh, Sensei here. Logan Paul versus KSI, the rematch. It's gonna be a pro fight. No head guards, 10-ounce gloves, and I just found out from Jordy's video that Vidal was in, that's gonna be 90 kg, which is, what is 90 kg in pounds?
That would be 198.42 pounds.
So max weight is 198, cruiserweight, which is 200 pounds. I actually already knew that. So these guys are fighting big, that's big. So JJ is definitely over 200 pounds right now, but still, that's interesting. Because they fought at what, 190 I think last time? Something like that? Before I get into a little breakdown of them two fighting, let's talk about this undercard situation. So, the Red Badge posted this video of Eddie Hearn.
On the undercard, we want World Championship Boxing. We don't want other YouTubers and celebrities. No, this is a chance for boxing to bring in new fans. And if we're going to bring them in, we need to show them the greatness of our sport.
So as you can imagine, I have mixed feelings, and I would assume that JJ and Logan both have mixed feelings on this as well. To be honest, I think this has more to do with them boxing in the States rather than them not wanting to do, you know, a YouTube undercard or make it a YouTube event. In talking with Logan and JJ, it's difficult to have an event like this in the United States where it's not a professional fighting bout, because they're fighting for profit. It's not like a celebrity match or like white collar boxing where they do it for charity. Those are much easier to do. But to get it in the Staples Center, to get the backing from DAZN and these companies, there was gonna have to be some give and take. And listening to Eddie Hearn, it really sounds like if he was gonna be involved and bring in his boxing connections to create this awesome boxing event, that he was gonna wanna do it his way, which is put these experts and professional boxers on the fight card as well. I'm not sure if you know, but in the UK, you could have done whatever you wanted. They had told us at fight night that if we didn't want to wear head guards, as long as your opponent agreed, you didn't have to. And then even the ounces of the glove, the rule set was between you and your opponent. So just those two parties, and each fight was different. I mean, they asked me how long. I got to choose how many rounds and the length of the rounds as well. And even the ref during the fight was he was like joking around at times. So the UK just saw it as like an entertainment event and said, you know, as long as you guys sign off on everything and you agree to everything, you guys can do whatever you want. Whereas in the States, you need to have a boxing license, you need the trainers that need to be licensed, it needs to be sanctioned by the boxing commission. Each state has its own commission, I believe. Like if I have a boxing license in Mass, and I need to also get a boxing license in California. So it's an entire different process doing it in the USA than it is doing it in the UK. I have no doubt if they did it in the UK that it would have been more of a YouTube event again. I think this extended delay has just been because of the details and the rules and the ramifications that go into boxing in the United States. Now, with that being said, how do I feel about it? I'm super happy for JJ, and it's cool for Logan for them to be able to get paid and go out there and put on an awesome event. I mean, it's great for them. It's cool to see them put on this type of event. As a combat sports fan and as a YouTuber, it's cool to see these worlds collide. I'm excited to watch the pro fighters on the undercard and to watch them fight and just to see how it goes. I'm a fan of both communities, so I'm excited to see them both. There has been a lot of backlash from the YouTube community, of course, because it's no longer a YouTube event. It's no longer an event that sort of belongs to this community. And I think that connection so far right now has been lost, because obviously everyone wants to see them fight, and people are still going to watch them fight, of course, but it was also a YouTube event. It felt like this event belonged to the community, and the fandom from the community is what allowed this event to happen, because of how just dedicated you guys are as a fan base. So that backlash I expected, and I expect that to continue to happen. And I even expected fight night, because now it's just purely a boxing event. So that's the unfortunate part of it. Now it's more that there are two YouTubers fighting on a professional boxing card, which is amazing in its own right, because this means Jake's not fighting, Deji's not fighting, Fusi won't be fighting, Vitali, all these potential like opponents, myself, because the undercard was a big part of it, and it wasn't the boxing. I mean, I don't think anyone was excited to see boxing, and they knew that my fight was going to be some more skill, but it wasn't like because I was just a fighter. It was also because I was a part of FaZe and I'm a YouTuber. Like, look at the Scarce fight. Obviously he didn't know how to fight, but watching him go out there and not give up, be determined, and just to see him go at it was intense, and it was good for Scarce fans, because you know who he is, because it's from the community, so you can appreciate that. I mean, it's genius work by Eddie Hearn because he's promoting his fighters. So I'm not sure if this is going to bring more fans to boxing, but I believe it will bring more fans to the fighters that fight that night. So if Billy Saunders has a big fight, or Devin Haney, or whoever the fighters are on that card, if they have big fights or big knockouts or highlight finishes, I believe that it'll build their fan base and then build their name, which is awesome too. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome that the professional boxers out there are going to get more respect and more notoriety. Obviously, I think it would be best if you had prelims YouTubers, right? So it started off YouTuber fighters. I think the best way to do it would be have an undercard of like the prelims, like the starting out fights, the early ones, as YouTubers. So you have less fights than last time, but you still have some of the bigger names on there, and then you have your professional experts go, and then you finish off with KSI and Logan. This way you can tend to both communities. And to be honest, I'm not even disappointed. I mean, when you're someone who's on an undercard, I'm just very grateful that I had the opportunity that I did last time. And it's not like I'm upset that, come on, how come you doing this? I mean, that would be extremely selfish. These guys are gonna do what they feel is best and the best opportunity for them, and that's what I want them to do. And I think it's good for everybody. I just think that they should have some YouTubers, even like Jake and Deji, even if it's not just me, just being you know, unbiased and objective here, having some bigger YouTubers, so you still have the feel like it's a YouTube event. And this is directed towards Eddie Hearn. When they had to sign up, you know, and sign off on Eddie being a part of it, he's the promoter. This isn't like last time when you saw Maverick and I think it's UP management or whoever the management was for, or I think OP management for KSI's team. They were the ones doing all the work and all the groundwork to put everything together. I mean, I was talking to JJ about who could be my opponent and stuff like that, and then I talked with his management. So those are the two guys making all the decisions. But now I truly believe that these are just two guys who are being treated as fighters, like Anthony Joshua or whoever. They're being treated as fighters, and then the promotion and the promoters are putting on the event. And these dudes are making history with this type of move. Like, it's crazy. So that's awesome. So yeah, I want to hear your opinion, because that's what I'm curious about. In the comments below, just put what you think. Like, is it not that big of a deal that there's no YouTubers in the undercard? Do you feel like it's no longer a YouTube event? I do check the comments, so for real, put your opinion. Now, as for JJ and Logan versus each other, you know, with it being a pro fight and 6'3s and smaller gloves and no head guard, I do think the knockout chance goes up a lot, and it does change the fight. So for example, a few of the jabs that Logan had landed, you know, bounced off the headgear, and with 12-ounce gloves, some of them might have, you know, bloodied the nose or give you a shiner, or maybe just make you feel it more, so JJ might have responded differently. And the same thing when JJ caught Logan off the side of the head guard, you know, because a lot of the punches that JJ landed were like hooks. They were off the side of the head, whereas Logan's were straight on, more straight punches, more jabs. So without head guards, if any of those hooks land behind the ear or on the jaw or on the temple, he could have easily dropped them. Speaking as unbiasedly as possible, in the last fight, JJ did land the harder punches. Whereas Logan did outbox JJ in the first couple rounds, I think overall, JJ did the most damage. Especially some of those hooks in the later rounds when Logan was tired. There was moments where he was wobbled. So to me, it's just, if JJ can just figure out how to manage that range, and not that he's already had a look at it for the first 2 rounds and that his team has, it's gonna be difficult for Logan. The reason I say that, even I know it may seem like I'm being biased, but listen to me here. Logan is not really going to change his style. He's just gonna try to repeat what he did for the first 2 rounds and just make sure he can keep doing that. So he's gonna try to accomplish the same thing. Whereas JJ is going to be changing his style up so that he can respond to those first 2 rounds. So where JJ knows what to expect, I'm not sure Logan is ready for JJ. I'm not sure he knows what to expect. He may have an idea, but he's not gonna know, you know, what his game plan is, and it's gonna be different. Whereas I think we all know that Logan's game plan, unless he's changing it, is to stay on the outside and outbox him, because he was effective at doing that. He just didn't sustain it over the whole fight. So I think JJ does have the edge there, and when it comes to boxing and how styles make fights, typically the taller opponent is more the precision puncher, the person on the outside, whereas unless you're Deontay Wilder, then he's just an outlier and that's crazy. Whereas the shorter opponent is gonna rely on being on the inside and trying to land effective power punches to hurt his opponent and or knock him out. Just stylistically, when you look at a boxing throughout history, the taller and shorter guy, usually the shorter guy is more powerful and relies more on power punches, and the taller guy relies on jabs and staying on the outside. Now, punching on the inside does require a lot more skill because you're in danger constantly, right? You have to learn how to maneuver safely in somebody else's range because they're taller. And to be the taller opponent is, for the most part, typically easier because you're gonna stay on the outside. Unless you're versing like a Mike Tyson or someone who's just faster and stronger and very good and effective on staying on the inside. So as a boxing fan standpoint, I'm excited to see if JJ can make those adjustments. You know, I'm sure his team is gonna make those adjustments for him. But it's hard, it's difficult in any sport to actually go out and do it. So what I mean is I'm interested to see if JJ is gonna be able to, you know, accomplish that. Is he gonna be able to take the work he's doing in the gym and execute it? And is Logan gonna be able to keep him on the outside? Of course, I'm team KSI, so I want him to catch the knockout. And if it's a knockout, I believe it's gonna be like a singular hard punch that's gonna change the fight, I think, for JJ. So if he gets the knockout, I believe it'll be like a hard shot that he lands that hurts Logan, and then it'll be like 1 or 2 punches, and then, you know, he'll be done. For Logan, I think it's gonna be a flurry. If he's gonna hurt JJ, I think it's gonna be a flurry of punches. I don't really see it being one. I feel like it's gonna be, you know, he may land a couple shots and then, you know, sting him, and then maybe he, you know, flurries a combination and just overwhelms JJ, and then a few of them land and ends up dropping him. That's what maybe I see from Logan's side. But I think stylistically, JJ has a better chance of landing that one powerful shot to really change the fight. And lastly, I wanted to say this as a boxing fan. Having the pro boxers on the undercard isn't that big of a deal to me because I watch pro boxing anyways, and I watch fighters anyways, so I was excited to see the YouTubers fight. As a boxing fan, I think it was cool to watch these guys go out there and lay it on the line and go out and do a sport that they haven't done before, and everyone on the undercard, and then go out there and challenge themselves. I really enjoyed that because that was very entertaining. So now when I go to watch boxing, I want to watch boxing. You know, I want to watch the sweet science and stuff like that. When I want to watch the YouTuber thing, it was purely about entertainment and the passion and the grit and the heart and, you know, the cool comeback stories and, you know, exciting fighting and entertaining fighting is what I always wanted to see there. So I'm not sure if the boxing promoters are missing that, because I think that people don't really care too much about the sweet science. Boxing, for the most part, always going to be like a niche. It's gonna be like a sport for the die-hard fans that people really enjoy. And they're only gonna be casual fans watch when there's big enough fights, when there's big enough names. And this has gone on forever. The Muhammad Ali's, the Mike Tyson's. Only very few people remember Mike Tyson's opponents, right? Some of Ali's opponents you remember because they were both big names. But even Floyd's opponents, it's about the names regardless, in the big, the 1% of the 1% of the boxers. Even though the skill level on that, you know, the top 50% is amazing, it's about the names because those people bring the entertainment as well. Muhammad Ali was the greatest entertainer ever when it came to boxing. Mike Tyson wasn't an entertainer on purpose, but it was just he was so polarizing as a person, so that brought the entertainment. Like any sport, people aren't fans of Floyd. I'm a huge fan of Floyd. I'm a huge fan of a lot of fighters, especially when they're defensive and technical. I enjoy that. And even if I think you're gonna put that on the undercard, I'm not sure that's gonna entice people. I think if you have people do a really technical boxing, I'm not sure it's gonna entice them. I think that if there's great fights and there's highlights, and I think the commentating is going to matter. If the commentating is good, to make sure that they have, you know, new viewers so they can bring them along and educate them throughout the night, that'll be good. But I have high hopes. I hope it's going to go well. I hope it's going to be like an awesome event, and I hope that there's more fans of boxing and they become super diehards like me. But yeah, all positive vibes from this guy. You got a little reaction from me. I know we have the press conference coming soon, so we'll get more info there. I wonder if JJ and Logan are actually going to address the fact that it's just a pro undercard. They just, you know, put out their promotions and they haven't really addressed the fact, you know, the elephant in the room, that there's no other YouTubers are fighting. You know, Jake's not fighting, JJ's not fighting, no one else is. So I'm interested to see if they're going to address that and what needs to be said then. Other than that, guys, I'm just training. I'm staying ready just in case I get an opportunity on the card. And also I got to spar JJ, and I got to spar also somebody else named Logan. Well, said that he would be down to spar. So I'm going to make those two happen. Maybe when I go spar Logan, I have to sign like an NDA, and I'll just go in there like Paulie Malignaggi as like the guy from like the enemy camp just to get some sparring in. It doesn't matter. It's going to be great content. It's going to be great. So I'm staying busy. Don't you worry. Again, put your comments down below. I want to hear the feedback from the community. I want to know what you guys think. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Oos.